Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the next meeting on higher education and community colleges. Excited for today's day. Clerk, can we take the attendance?
Thank you. Chair Stuckloff.
Present.
Representative Morgan. Present. Representative Weiss. Here. Representative Price. Here. Representative Skaggs. Here. Representative Kuhn. Representative DeBoer.
Here.
I'm sure you have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk. Representative Jason Morgan approves the minutes from the subcommittee on February 22nd. Minutes are approved without objection. Here today we have to present Brandy Johnson from the Michigan Community College Association, as well as Rob Mass from MyLeap. Brandy, if you want to come up, you didn't get quite the chance to finish your presentation yesterday, and I want to make sure you deserve and get the respect you needed for this presentation. So thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thanks so much for the opportunity to finish my presentation, but really to take any questions that you have particularly about the Community College Guarantee. Joining me today is our Vice President at the Association, Dr. Erica Orians, who leads all of our work and initiatives around student success. So if there are questions related to student success or transfer, I wanted to have our in-house expert with me to answer some of those questions. So again, as a reminder, this chart shows our post-secondary enrollment rates among recent high school graduates. Over 40% of the class of 2023 did not enroll in post-secondary education anywhere. Didn't go to a 2-year, a 4-year, a public, a private, an in-state or an out-of-state college. That's a significant percentage of the high school graduates, and the Michigan Community College Guarantee is really focused and aimed on helping support that population of students enroll in post-secondary education. Growing a talented, college-educated workforce should be our shared goal. Our vision at the MCCA is to serve these students who are not going to college anywhere and who are underrepresented, and work with our 4-year institutions in the state to increase outcomes at all degree levels. We can do better as a state. The Michigan Community College Association supports the expansion of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship to include the Community College Guarantee for some specific reasons. It removes college affordability barriers, especially, again, that large group of students who are unlikely to pursue post-secondary education anywhere. It's an incredibly inexpensive program for really life-changing opportunities to earn a certificate or degree or transfer to a 4-year institution to earn a bachelor's degree. The reason it is so inexpensive is because the federal Pell Grant is doing all the heavy lifting of this program. Between federal financial aid dollars and existing state financial aid dollars, the gap to close to make this universal commitment to post-secondary education is really, really inexpensive. It's universal. It's a simple message to tell all students that one option is for them to attend a community or tribal college tuition-free. And it provides that very, very clear and simple messaging, very similar to Michigan Reconnect. The messaging for Michigan Reconnect is that if you're 25 and older and don't have a college degree and you live here in Michigan, you can go to get an associate degree tuition-free. This guarantee would provide a very similar message to our students that are coming right out of high school. It creates a larger pipeline of students that are able to then transfer from a community college to a 4-year institution to pursue bachelor's degrees, and gives, when keeping our existing Michigan Achievement Scholarship or even in expanding it, it really provides some options for students that are powerful for them. Some 3 specific things that we think that the legislature should consider in terms of designing the community college guarantee. The first would be to pair this with some powerful incentives to help students that do complete the associate degree at community college transfer to a 4-year institution to pursue bachelor's degrees. Our second recommendation in the exec rec of the community college guarantee, in addition to paying last dollar tuition and fees, it also provides a $1,000 award to put toward cost of attendance, things like textbooks, technology, transportation. We think that that is really great. The way it was written, it would provide $1,000 to almost all students that would be attending community college. We think a better, more targeted way would be to increase the amount, but to only target it at Pell Grant students. So to say, if you get the Pell, the state's matching it with $2,000, and that will cover those direct non-tuition costs of attendance like textbooks, supplies, technology, and transportation. And then lastly, for really administrative ease, in a world in which the community college guarantee would come into fruition for the class of '24, we'd ask you to consider converting the class of 2023 to these new rules for those attending community college. So the state is administering one program and our financial aid offices are administering one program. It has been brought up, the comparison to Tennessee and the Tennessee Promise. In Tennessee, there was a community college guarantee, kind of similar promise made to students in 2015. Since 2015, all levels of degree attainment have gone up in Tennessee. As we look toward the big picture of 60 by 30, we want those with a high school diploma or some college no credential, we want those populations in Michigan to shrink while increasing every other level, certificate, associate degree, bachelor's degree, graduate degree, and our overall attainment rate. So just a couple of final thoughts. This program we do not believe would reshuffle those students that are pursuing post-secondary, sort of make changes between that green pie and that yellow piece of pie. Rather, it's to shrink the white piece to make more students pursue post-secondary education. It's about increasing our overall college going rate and getting more students post-secondary credentials to change their lives. Second, sort of only looking at the Tennessee Promise results, which over the course of the first year, sort of about 1,000 fewer students attended four-year universities after the Promise. Within 2 years, that number had leveled back up, and it has gone up since then, or is on the same pace as their demographics. But the huge difference is that Tennessee did not have the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. So it's an unfair comparison to compare us to a state almost 10 years ago when they didn't have this massive investment of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which provides $5,500 in its current form to students attending public universities. In the first year of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, 90% of the dollars went to four-year institutions. Only 10% of Michigan Achievement Scholarship dollars went to students attending community and tribal colleges. We estimate about a third of our first-time, full-time students in fall of 2023, or what could have been full-time, first-time, actually only enrolled part-time, and these are the recent high school graduates that we want to encourage to come to college and to go full-time. And lastly, we support some of the complementary approaches that were offered last week by the Michigan Association of State Universities, including making the Michigan Achievement Scholarship first dollar and increasing the Michigan Achievement Scholarship Award for students that are enrolled in a public university. And with that, thanks again for the opportunity to come back, and I'd love to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Brandy. Do we have any questions? Representative Price?
Thank you, Chair Stuckloff. Could you talk a little bit more about what making the Reconnect dollars first dollar means?
Yeah, so in the current form, yes, so basically it would come before Pell. So if we're talking about public universities, in the current form of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, students can get up to $5,500. A portion of that is applied first dollar, then they apply all other federal and state and gift aid, and then if there is a balance, which there often is, then it plugs in some additional like last dollar supports. So pre-federal, pre-other state programs is what first dollar means. With the community college guarantee, we support the structure of it being a last dollar, so it just comes in to fill that gap with this extra sort of bonus money, or money that can be used to support basic needs, because it sort of has the same effect of it going first dollar or last dollar. The idea is you want more money that can be refunded to the students to pay non-tuition costs of attendance.
And can you elaborate a little bit about non-tuition costs and how, why those are so important for equity?
Thank you, Representative and Madam Chair. So upper middle income and high income students have often some family contributions to help them with their basic needs. They're able to provide, room and board, either supporting that at a college or having them live at home, supporting them with their food, supporting with gas, with all of their basic needs. With low-income students who disproportionately attend community colleges, almost all scholarships are only directed at the tuition parts of the costs of college. The tuition costs of attendance are often more than the cost of tuition. And so making a promise only of tuition and fees is really not a promise at all to our lowest income students who can't afford some of their basic needs and maybe feel like they need to work instead of go to school. But in particular, things like a laptop, internet, a reliable internet at home to study, all of the textbooks, supplies needed with your programs of study, and then transportation back and forth. Without supporting our lowest income, i.e. Pell eligible students with those types of costs, they will either not go at all because they can't sort of make the dollars and cents work, or they'll go while trying to work 2 or 3 part-time jobs and sort of there's no good outcome in that situation. Thank you, Representative Price.
Representative Morgan?
Thank you, Chair. I want to note that Ms. Johnson referenced transportation as a key part of folks being successful in community college. I think that is something we always need to be working on, is making that more accessible for our students. The question I wanted to touch on comes from Rep. Price's question around completion is always a question that we're asking for community colleges and universities. Do you think that the College Promise program and some of these other scholarship programs, can you elaborate how that might impact completion?
Yeah. So I'll say 1 or 2 things and then I'll turn it over to Erica to add. So the first piece is structuring it as a scholarship. This Michigan Achievement Scholarship in its current form and hopefully with this expansion only will apply to full-time students. There is tremendous evidence that if students attend full-time, particularly community college full-time, their completion rates dramatically increase. Sort of the longer you stretch it out, if you try to go to college over 8, 9, 10 years, just life gets in the way. Things come up and you get off track, and sometimes you're never able to get back on track. If you're able to just really supercharge, especially right out of high school, and go full-time, that makes a significant difference. Obviously, the cost as well, by covering this program with additional support beyond just last dollar tuition and fees, you're really helping to decrease the number of hours that a student would need to work while going to school. And then Erica, what would you add to that?
I would add that, thank you for having me here today, nice to see you all. I would add that the Community College Guarantee combined with the Michigan Achievement Scholarship at the universities provides almost a tuition-free pathway for a student, especially a Pell-eligible student, for the entire bachelor's degree program. When we model that out. The other thing that I think is really crucial, as Brandy described, is the enrolling full-time. It just takes credit hours. You have to generate credit hours to earn an associate degree and a bachelor's degree, so there's a lot of value in that. And then we also know that incentivizing students to earn an associate degree accelerates their pathway to a bachelor's degree. So 60% of students who earn an associate degree earn a bachelor's degree after they transfer within 4 years, and compared to only 47% of their peers, and that holds steady for low-income students as well. So there's incredible power in the financial aid programs that incentivize that associate degree completion and then carry forward that grant program over to their university enrollment as well.
Any more questions? Oh, Representative Kuhn?
Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Let me ask you this. The Tennessee Promise not only guaranteed, you know, the first 2 years, but they also provided a mentor. To me, the mentor is extremely important, and can you talk about what your view would be of having a mentor as well?
Yeah, so I think thank you for that question, Representative, and Madam Chair. I think you're exactly right, and I think Michigan is blessed to have some really incredible partnerships with both with MyLeap and the Office of 60 by 30, but also with organizations like Michigan College Access Network. When Reconnect started, the 60 by 30 office, in partnership with MCAN and all of our members, came together to place success coaches on each of our campuses to support reconnectors in particular. And so someone that's their only job is to help the reconnectors sort of navigate through the process of setting a career goal, picking a program of study that aligns with that career goal, creating a map of their courses that they will need to take over the next 2 years to get to their associate degree, or 4 years if adults going part-time. And then also helping, another sort of key part that the coach can provide is really leveraging prior learning assessment, making sure that all of the students' dual enrollment credits are carried into their degree. CLEP examinations are taken to help students get ahead. There's all sorts of little things to help the student build momentum. So we would certainly support, and there's funding in the budget on the school aid side to continue to support the Michigan College Access Network in organizing mentors and coaches for students that are attending on these programs, in addition to the robust advising that we have on our campuses.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, thank you so much, you guys, for being here today.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, next we have Rob Mass, Legislative Director for MyLeap, and we will be doing a presentation on Michigan Reconnect. And if all of you could just come in and introduce yourselves to the committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. Appreciate the opportunity today, especially February 29th, MyLeap Day, which we will be hitting on all day. So my name, like the chair said, is Rob Mass. I'm the legislative director for MyLeap, and with me today is Sarah Sherpicki, the director of the Office of 60 by 30, and Diane Kozme, the director of My Student Aid, both under the Office of Higher Education at MyLeap. So really quickly, I don't want to spend too much time, but our charge is to create a path to prosperity for every Michigander and support the long-term economic health of our state with a coordinated strategy from preschool through post-secondary. So we have 3 offices, which you'll see up here. Today we'll be focusing primarily on higher education, but we do have a couple other areas: the Office of Early Childhood Education from 0 to 5, and the Office of Education Partnerships for all of that time and wraparound services, out of school time, family and community engagement, and our councils to make sure that we're really, listening from the community as we're implementing the policies that you all pass. So I'll hand it over to Diane. I know that today we're going to focus on Reconnect, but we wanted to give a little context to the whole community college, financial aid landscape first, and set like a little base And so Diane, if you can talk about the Michigan Achievement Scholarship.
Yes, thank you for having us today. I really appreciate it. I really just want to highlight two of our largest program, one being the Michigan Achievement Scholarship and the other Tuition Incentive Program. And we'll start with the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, our newest program. To date, we've awarded just about 28,000 students and are excited to see some of those numbers. You'll see on the slide there, we've highlighted students that have been recipients at community college so far this year. So we're starting to see, we're encouraged by the numbers and know that there's room to improve. We're focusing right now on the class of 2024 and FAFSA completion because we know the FAFSA's requirement for consideration of this particular award. So switching from the EFC to the SAI and just some of the new challenges with the rollout of the FAFSA, and we're really emphasizing and focusing on supporting our students and families right now. So we're making a great effort with our marketing campaign and just showing hitting all different areas that we can. We're seeing a large surge in our web traffic. We have our paid searches, our paid social media, TV. If you've seen in your local news channels or local channels, you may have seen our Michigan Achievement Scholarship ads there. So we're really just trying to continue to raise awareness. That's one of the largest charges with a new program, is just simply awareness that it exists. And so we're encouraged by the numbers that we've seen here and are seeing some really phenomenal traffic to our website to gather that information. And then with the tuition incentive program, we're also seeing some encouraging signs and engagement with our students and seeing some increases in utilization that we're, like I said, very encouraged to see. You'll see there, this is just reflecting on where we are so far in this academic year cycle. So we're seeing an increase in the awarded amount to our students at community college of about 39%, which again is a very encouraging sign. I think we've all been wondering what type of a rebound would happen post-pandemic and just what type of a increase we potentially could see with the rollout of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship and students who might be eligible for multiple awards through the state. So all of these signs are pretty encouraging for us to see. And so what I'm showing here is just sort of an overall of the variety of programs that we offer, not just the achievement or tuition incentive program, but you'll see there to date for this academic year, over 96,000 students have been a recipient of a state award. And that is an increase of 57%, almost 58% to students. And for our community colleges, that's $67 million awarded to students who are attending a community college, and that's an increase from last year of about 67%.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thanks again so much for having us. I'm Sarah Sherpicki, the director of the Office of 60 by 30. This Office of 60 by 30, I'm going to do a little bit of context and background so that you can understand sort of all the things that are placed in our office, but we'll focus on Reconnect. Was created to really breathe life into the governor's goal of having 60% of Michigan's working age adults to have a degree or credential by 2030. We know this is critical for Michigan's economic prosperity and for the health and well-being of our families and our businesses. The state's been making really tremendous progress, but so have other states. And so as we continue to focus on building Michigan's competitive advantage through this set of strategies around the attainment goal, it's not time to hit the brake. Because we have continued growth that we need to achieve. So you can see we're 37th in the nation right now. So our office was located in the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity until the creation of MyLeap. And so these are sort of the areas of work that have come to us through policy. So we administer certain financial aid programs. We do this really very closely in partnership with Diane's Office of My Student Aid. Now we're in the same department, so that makes that easier. We We have provided some support at an appropriation in FY22 to help meet students' basic needs through $6 million of wraparound grants that we administered to colleges. We're charged with monitoring the compliance of our community and tribal colleges with the requirements of Reconnect. We administer some specific, like named appropriations and programs like the ADN to BSN completion program. And we have used some of our funding to provide grants to help colleges adopt evidence-based practices to support student success, and as Ms. Johnson mentioned, to provide coaches on our community college campuses. So to get into the financial aid programs, I'll come back anytime to talk about the other stuff if you'd like. So futures for frontliners and Michigan Reconnect are obviously our headlines. You can see our recent sort of application enrollment and credential award numbers here. So we continue to see, as you all know, futures is no longer a program that students can apply to, but we continue to support the students who are enrolled in futures towards the completion of their degrees and credentials. Reconnect launched in 2021, and since then we've had over 150,000 applicants. And so what we continue to see, and that sort of number of applicants is not dropping, right? So we're seeing a really steady pace of new applications as time goes on. And are delighted to now be starting to see those like credential numbers grow as well, now that the program's been around long enough for people to actually be completing things. I just wanted to remind folks about the eligibility requirements. You can see those, and I'm talking really just about the basic Reconnect eligibility right now. I will touch on the Reconnect age expansion. So I don't need to read those to you, but you can see the eligibility requirements for applicants. But what I did want to just dwell on for 20 seconds is the requirements of students to stay eligible, because it's one of the sort of misperceptions we hear is that you can just go, I think one article said, you can go take an ice sculpting class using Reconnect. That is not accurate. You have to be enrolled in a Pell-eligible program of study. You have to be working towards a credential. You have to be meeting satisfactory academic progress each year, or a 2.0 in your coursework, and earning at least 12 credits each academic year. Some of these are changes that went into effect with 2022 amendments, but so there are requirements on the students to continue to receive the scholarship. We were delighted last summer that the Reconnect age expansion was passed. The age expansion uses $70 million of state and local FRF, for Fiscal Recovery Fund funding. So that lowers the age of Reconnect to be accepted as an applicant to 21. That is only temporary. And so we've really tried to build that as just an addition to the program. The fact that it's federal dollars and that it's FRF dollars in particular means that there are some challenges to making it identical, but that has been our intent. We've tried to make that identical for the colleges to roll out. The most important difference is that students have to enroll in college by this fall in order to sort of activate their application for Reconnect 21. Of course, if a student does not enroll when they're 25, they can apply for Reconnect again. It's also just important for me to mention that while that on-ramp is temporary, the state is committed to supporting these students through sort of the same amount of education that the Reconnect scholarship in general would permit them. So even though the FRF dollars have to be spent by 2026. So we also, as Brandy and Erica mentioned, like the financial aid is really critical, or as you, Representative, mentioned, students need additional support in order to complete. And so we have invested in navigators on our team and coaches. So navigators work for the state. They help students navigate everything that they need in order to enroll. Like FAFSA completion is a big thing they will help students with, but also just figuring out program of study and other work. The College Completion Corps, those are the success coaches that were mentioned earlier. Also providing some additional dollars for scholarships for Reconnect and Frontliners students last year at all of our colleges, community colleges. So then to touch on spending, so you can see the chart on the left shows our total spending over the sort of 3 completed fiscal years. And of that total that you see there, the vast majority of it is being spent on scholarships. And so between fiscal years 21 and 23, we've spent over almost $94 million on Reconnect scholarships, so funding for students. And as Diane mentioned, we are also seeing an interesting uptick this year that is really exciting. And so just looking at sort of where we are today in fiscal year 24, we're at around, I think the math is like around 38% higher scholarship use or dollar usage this year than we were at the same point last year. And so obviously on track to really be using up or getting closer to exhausting the budget on this fiscal year. We also administer a couple of additional scholarship programs that are new, and so just wanted to mention them. They are the Michigan Reconnect Short-Term Training Program and the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship. So the eligibility for students for these 2 programs sort of models, though isn't perfectly identical, models after the either Reconnect or the Achievement Scholarship. So the short-term training program right now, that is students are eligible if they're 21 and up, don't yet have a degree. And we've received, since launching that program in December, we've had 6,500 applications. So students are really using this program. This is one-time funding. We only have $6 million, and we expect that that will basically be used this year. Those are also FRF dollars. The Achievement Skills Scholarship was funded sort of with the Achievement Scholarship, and you can see the eligibility here. That also just launched in the fall. We have received 117 eligible applications. We've also just really started letting people know about it. Good. The thing that those 2 programs have in common are that they use the same sort of criteria to determine which providers and programs are eligible providers. So the Reconnect Grant Recipient Act describes what is necessary. There are 10 criteria, describes what is necessary for programs and providers to end up on the list of training providers where students can use these 2 scholarships. So it starts with being a part of Michigan's eligible training provider list. So these 2, both of the scholarship programs use the same list. So we take that list, we apply all of the criteria, we then let the providers know, you're eligible, do you want to participate? They mostly say yes. Then we let students know, here's where you can use these dollars. Primarily we see the programs are in healthcare that met the eligibility criteria as described in the legislation, not exclusively. Last, just wanted to mention a program. It is not financial aid, but since the sort of issue around student success has come up, and I think our focus on access needs to be a focus on access and success, right? We want to see that students are completing when we make the pathways to higher education possible for them. So financial aid is critical, and there's more that we need to do to support, especially the students who are underrepresented. So we just launched a new competitive grant process for all of our public colleges and universities. Nonprofits are also eligible grantees. This would be an entirely separate presentation, but I just wanted to sort of let you know that this is out there, and this is the primary strategy that we have developed to invest in our institutions so that they can adopt evidence-based practices to increase student completion.
And I would be remiss if I did not mention the Community College Guarantee and our support for the executive recommendation. We know that the Achievement Scholarship has been wildly successful, and as we're getting the word out, it has been incredibly popular among recently graduated students. So we're looking to take the next step forward on that program and really clear up the marketing around the Achievement Scholarship, because already 80% of community college entrants in the last year are getting free or essentially free tuition for community college. It's just a marketing and a messaging issue right now. To reach that last 20% is a relatively low investment in terms of monetary dollars on top of the Achievement Scholarship. But it really helps us to tell every student graduating in Michigan, you have a path to post-secondary credential attainment that is entirely tuition-free. So clearing that messaging is really one of the primary reasons that we're really excited about this proposal and looking to work with all of you on it. So it has three main parts. The first, we expand the eligibility and remove the base requirement for student aid index. Secondly, we'll award last dollar scholarships to all students, but award an additional $1,000 for students who meet the financial need eligibility currently in the law for those wraparound services that Brandy mentioned earlier and other tuition costs. So with that, I will be happy to take any questions, or we will.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We do have a few questions. Representative Morgan? Vice Chair Morgan?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for this. This is a phenomenal presentation outlining the multitude of different and amazing things that Governor Whitmer's administration has put forward over the last few years and the legislature has supported. The big question I have in looking at this, because I think I'm fairly knowledgeable about the higher ed world, but still, I look at all of these programs and I think, how in the heck is a student going to know what's available to them? And for someone who maybe isn't quite thinking about being a student yet, but might if they knew about these programs, how do we communicate to residents throughout the state all of these really great things that are available so that they know and might spark their interest if they were aware?
Yeah, I'll speak briefly and then let Diane and Sarah chime in if they have any other thoughts. But that is, the messaging is exactly, the point behind the community college guarantee, but it also, we rely a lot on our partners at the institution, the financial aid offices, and our teams here to get the word out, help students. The success coaches and navigators are a big part of that strategy. And so we're working to really inform people prior to filling out the FAFSA, prior to doing all of the paperwork that's necessary to make sure that they know, this money is out there, and you more than likely qualify. That asterisk on more than likely qualify, we want to get rid of that and just say, you qualify for community college, let's see what else you can get on top of that. And let's see what your options is. If you do the FAFSA, you will see so much, more than you thought is available due to the recent investments that you all have made, frankly. Any other?
Just add, I'm coming from a financial aid background, having worked at an institution for almost 18 years. The great mystery of financial aid is across the board, and I think that's something that we are all trying to work towards demystifying. It's just, when we talk about financial aid, even saying it sometimes creates anxiety for families to just even, we have to talk about resources. And I think through the collaboration with our stakeholders and community partners and the institutions, we can work together to, like I said, make this a more streamlined process and something that is not so intimidating for our students. I think we're very cognizant of that and trying to message, this is available to you, these are resources that you have for these endeavors to continue your credentials. And we're all excited to do that work and trying to think about, we're actually convening a work group with our stakeholders and community partners actually this afternoon. And it's exactly what we're talking about. Where do we have opportunities to streamline this process and communicate clear messages to our students and families?
So if we have somebody who is, just says, hey, I don't know what's available to me, I'm interested, maybe they're 25, 26, where do they go for that? Where do they go to say, hey, how do I figure this out?
I think the best answer to that is that we need to be able to be reaching people wherever they are. And so that means, as Rob was mentioning, sort of that the state needs to be partnering closely with the actual colleges so that we're all giving out the same information. But that we can also be working with our Michigan Works partners, with libraries, with intermediate school districts, with the Michigan College Access Network, obviously is a leader on this, so that we are like reaching really deeply. I think for our programming, I can say that as soon as someone sort of comes to Reconnect and completes anything, they start hearing from our navigators. And so I do think that setting up more systems for creating that really direct outreach, it is hard for adults to figure out their like how to arrange their lives in order to go back to school, and just having someone to like help you think through all of that, and find our navigators work not only to connect them with resources at their college, but also other resources in the community. And so continuing to sort of grow that network to figure out like, there's a childcare resource. Again, that's not something the state, we're not paying for their childcare, but we are connecting people to other folks in the community that can help.
But I guess one last piece here, where is there, like, and how do they know where to go? Like, they don't know what, Reconnect or any of these programs are, so how do they just Google it? Like, where do they go?
Do you mean like, what's the web URL?
No, I mean, like, how do they know where to look?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do need to invest in communications and marketing. And so we are, on social, on billboards, there's a range of sort of traditional and in social spaces where we're trying to reach them. Would you add to that?
I would just highlight this slide far earlier in the presentation on our outreach efforts, and
Gotcha.
we were
I don't
really
mean to cut everyone off, but we have a hard stop in like 3 minutes.
Oh, I apologize. I'll just say we were really appreciative of the investment that the legislature made on the marketing dollars for Michigan Achievement, and we think it made an incredible difference.
Thank you. And last question, Representative Weiss.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. Just really quick, when you talk about the expansion to community college for all, can you talk about the overall projected cost of that, the source of that revenue, and the sustainability of that, what the projection of that is over time?
Yeah, so the executive recommendation includes $30 million invested as part of a planned increase of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. That would also fund the community college guarantee. So the Michigan Achievement Scholarship was set up with steady increases or steady investments through continued fiscal years. And due to some usage numbers and just data that we've learned as the program has existed for a year, we project the $30 million needed to both, make the Achievement Scholarship continue to be sustainable as it is, but also to expand it to the Community College Guarantee.
All right, we are out of time today, but thank you all so much for your presentation. And if we have any additional questions, we'd love to bring you back. My question is if you could just maybe send it to us about the process of applying to Reconnect, how that actually works and how simple the application is, just so we might be able to help disperse that information. Okay, we have no absent members, so with that, the subcommittee is adjourned.